Hello, this is Sarah the Soiled Plant and welcome back to my channel. When I was brainstorming what video I wanted to do this week, I was thinking about maybe doing a greenhouse tour, and I thought, you know what, it's the middle of winter. We're probably due for just a general update of all of my plants. And this idea was definitely spur of the moment. So I haven't really cleaned or specially cleaned for this video. I actually have no idea how many plants I have right now. I've been approximating around 90 or so, but I will definitely put somewhere up here how many plants I actually have. If you love plant tours, I actually have another one back in July, so you can kind of see how the plants have progressed over the last, 6 months or so, but especially you can see how many plants I've gained since then. If that's the sort of thing you're interested in, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe down below. And with that, let's get to it. Starting on this top shelf, I have a propagation of my Monstera adansonii going here. There's a few little cuttings in there that are trying to do something, but I definitely have these ones with some leaves that keeps growing new leaves, so consider that a plant instead of a propagation. It's graduated into a real plant, I think. This one is my only Scindapsus. It's a Scindapsus pictus aureus, and I'm really loving it. It's kind of had some patchiness, but I think that's because I'm actually giving it too much light as opposed to too little. I also think I need to water it a little more often, and it's doing its thing. I've moved the Scindapsus just so we can get a look at this lovely Syngonium. I'm not even sure what type it is, but it's doing pretty well. Right now it's actually kind of leaning one side, so I always have to turn it because it always wants to face the light. About doubled in size since I bought it. It's doing really well. And on this side I have some propagations. I actually just did a propagation video last week, so if you want more details on these, you can check that out. I'll put it up in the eye. But basically this is a pothos cutting, and then over here I've got some string of hearts that I am trying to butterfly propagate, and it's got some long tendrils starting to come out, especially on the back here, so I definitely think it's starting to work. On the second shelf here I actually have some plastic wrap on the side over here, and that prevents my kitty from chewing on it because she will sit on the edge of the couch and chew on that. That's the Scindapsus from above that I just set there for now because the little tendrils would block the view. But right here in front is my Hoya publicalis splash. I actually just bought a proper stake for this that it can grow up and around, so I'm looking forward to how big this gets. It's got some nice lovely growth coming in and some little tiny new leaves that just popped up a few days ago, so I'm hoping it kind of rebounds and does some super awesome growth in the springtime. This one right here is also just some propagations. It's the top of my Ficus tunicki and some more pothos. And this in the back here is actually the Ficus tunicki that the top cutting came from. And you can see this is where I took the cutting point. And then I've got this little stalk that grew out a leaf, and then another leaf, and this other little tiny baby one. But this one on this side is just blowing up and turning into a full-fledged, branch on this side. So that is doing really, really well. That one is still a little stunted, but it's also winter, so I'll give it some credit. And in the very back over here, I have another string of hearts. This one isn't quite propagating. It always had its roots in the soil, but this one I am continuing to grow out. This one was doing much better than my other one, which is why it's still growing normally, and I will try. You can see right there how long it is. I'll try to get a different angle. So it starts up here, and you can see it going down into the third shelf, down, 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 until it almost gets all the way to the ground. And yes, that is a pillow wedged in between the shelf and the window. That is so the cats don't chew on the string of hearts. The things I do to keep my cats from being jerks. But yeah, this one is doing very well, and I'll definitely be taking some cuttings off of her soon. On this third shelf down here, I actually have an Aglaonema sparkling Sarah. Basically got it because not only is it super cute, but it shares my name. I've noticed that I've been losing some of the variegation a little bit, so I've been trying to put it over here and give it more light to give it more of that lovely pink splash variegation, and it seems to be working. All the new stuff has a little bit more variegation, and that is what she looks like. And behind her, I have this little tiny Hoya carnosa crimson queen. You know it's a queen because the white is on the outside instead of the inside. This is actually one of my first Hoya ever. I actually bought this in a pair, but the second one unfortunately didn't make it. This one is doing a lot better. This one actually has a super long tendril to it, and this came as a huge surprise in the spring because it didn't grow much of anything for a long time, and then this exploded at the very end, and it definitely has some more growth coming in. So super happy about that. Might actually propagate that at some point. Who would have thought? And then of course we have the elephant in the room, which is my bird of paradise. This one was over fertilized, and I started burning the leaves on some of these. You can see all the little brown curly edges, but some of the newer ones are doing okay, and they weren't as damaged. So I think it'll be fine. Even with its flaws, I super love this plant. Would buy it again in a heartbeat. Love it. Across from the window, I have this little table. Over here, I have my philodendron black cardinal. It had some wonky growth that didn't look so cute and was super wrinkly. It's getting a little bit better, but it's still not as dark as it used to be. It's kind of lightening up. Either way, it's doing a little bit better than it was before. In the back, I have my whalefin sansevieria. Super cute. Love her. Can't wait for her to make babies, because I will take 12 of them, please. Then over here, I have my main Monstera adansonii mother plant. This one I actually chopped all the way back to the soil line. If you can see that there's a little cutting there, and also right there. So you can see I took cuttings and then it just exploded. It has done this in just a couple of months. It's super happy, and it's sitting under this lamp that has a grow light in it. Right next to it is a propagation of some string of hearts. It's growing, but growing slowly, so it definitely needs more light than my sort of grow light gives off. Then of course, rounding the corner, I have my lovely ZZ plant. She's doing her thing. She is not listening to anybody. She just does what she does. I actually have one of her branches stuck under the grow light, not only to give her more light, but also to bend her this way instead of always bending her that way. She just always wants to lean against the light. I don't know. You'd figure that she'd want the light, but she likes to lean back. I have my little coffee table in the center of the room, and those two plants in the back are just fake ones from IKEA, but these ones in the front are my cloche, terrarium plants. The reason I put them in cloches is because the cats can get at them here. So this one is my Calathea dotty. This is my little one that I was rehabbing, and it was doing so great for a while, and then I think the winter just kicked it right in the pants. So at this point, I'm just trying to put her in the cloche, and hopefully she gets better and will do better in the spring. And here's my little terrarium that I potted up just a little bit ago. I've got my jewel orchids right here, and there's actually just like the tiniest little new leaf coming up. So it's starting to rebound. I've got this little fern that's not doing like the best, but she's doing all right. And then I've got this little peperomia. And I was actually told by one of my subscribers that this is a Peperomia orba pixie lime. And I think they're absolutely correct. So I believe that is what this little guy is. And it seems to be doing pretty well. It hasn't really deteriorated much at all. So yeah, thank you to Rainy Day Wolf for identifying that for me. But that's the terrarium. Over here I have my Monstera deliciosa. This one I actually chopped and propped it and gave it to a friend, but this is where I chopped her, and this one has not grown a single centimeter in a long time, but the second cutting is doing very well. I just got this new leaf a little bit ago. Still no slits, but it's doing pretty well. And then as you round the corner up here, I basically just put this black coral snake plant on top of the snake cage because honestly I didn't know where to put it. It is not doing great. I've lost almost all of the leaves, and they've got all this fungal growth and stuff. I don't know. This one right here is actually brand new and grew and looks to be okay. So I'm just kind of letting it rehab up here until I figure out what to do with it. And then up here, I have one of my favorite plants because she is so low maintenance, but this is a Pothos Enjoy, Pothos Pearls and Jade. Either way, it's one of those. And I love them because of the variegation style it has. And the more consistent light you give it and good light you give it, the more likely you're going to have kind of true almost sectoral variegation as opposed to the little speckles. So it just depends on what you're interested in, but I'm mostly aiming for this type of variegation because I think it's absolutely beautiful, and it is a lovely plant and it is doing very well where I have it. And then over here, don't judge me, but I totally have this plant sitting on a stack of board games, but this is my Euphorbia Dragon Bone. Super cute, super interesting. I definitely wanted to give it a spot like right next to the window, and this is the best solution I came up with for now. I haven't had it for very long, but I love it so far and I dig the look of it, but I will definitely be giving this plant a lot more attention come spring and summer. Now we're getting into the Calathea table. There's definitely more things than Calathea on here, but that is the origination, is that this was supposed to only have Calathea on it. But starting in this corner, I have this completely random Syngonium that I bought on a clearance rack. Super cheap. It was part of like a little fairy garden collection, but it's got little tiny like pink on the veins that I don't know if you can really see on camera, but it's very nice. Has that green and then the pink veins. And the front here is my propagation of my Philodendron Plauminii, and it's got a leaf on the way. Very excited for that. In the back over here, I have my Calathea orbifolia. She is beautiful and stunning and doing the most to be super, super happy. I have her in a self-watering pot and she seems to be loving it. Looks like this leaf is on the way out, but that's all right. I've gotten so many new leaves off of this year, so it seems to be doing really well. This little tiny pot in the back, this actually has, strangely enough, one strand that is Philodendron Brazil and then another strand that is actually Cream Splash. Because when I potted this up, I forgot that one of these was Cream Splash and accidentally potted them together. But either way, they're both in there and I'm just letting them do their thing for now. In the front here is a Calathea roundifolia. It's basically the same exact thing as this orbifolia, and actually both of these are actually Gopertia, but I'm going to keep calling them Calathea just for now until that sticks in my brain because it's hard for me to change. But the sort of strokes on it, the like light on top of dark green, is very similar to the orbifolia, just different color combo. Very cute. Here I have just a little cuttings. I have a little Philodendron Brazil and then my Maranta Lemon Lime. This big beauty here is my Calathea Warskoeski. They can be a little temperamental. Just make sure you give them good water and consistent-ish humidity and she'll do all right. I actually have this leaf that I'm also losing soon, but that's all right. This leaf is actually brand new and look at that. Just perfection. Love it. Super, super awesome plant. I absolutely love that one. Then as we go over, this one is actually the Calathea rufibarbara. This one is fuzzy and has purple backing on the leaves. Mine is very thirsty, so she is in a self-watering pot. And in front of her, I have two of my Stromanthe. I have my Trio Star, which never quite got a good footing in my house. I keep getting my leaves doing this type of thing, so I'm still working on it. Stromanthe don't like me very much. This one right here is my Stromanthe sanguine, and this is the last remaining original leaf. Not doing great, but I do have this little growth spurt here that seems to be okay, and is giving me a little bit of hope that it'll bounce back. Up here on top of my humidifier, I have a big cutting of my Philodendron Plauminii, and she's doing okay, not the best. I think I over-fertilized on accident with this one, so all of the edges are a little yellow and not doing great, but got a new leaf on the way, and so we'll see how it goes. In the front is my Calathea zebrina. She's doing okay. She's a little top-heavy, so I actually had to put a chopstick as a stake and then attach the plant to the stake so that it would keep going upward. This one, as you can tell, is kind of flopping over. Not sure exactly what to do about that besides replant, but I will not replant this until spring. Calathea need everything perfect. They need I'll need to set up pentagrams and candles before I repot any Calathea, so has to be perfect. Behind the Sabrina, I have the one Stramanthe that is doing well for me, and that is the Stramanthe Magic Star. It's very similar to the Trio Star, except instead of the type of variegation that you see there, it gets more speckly. So this is almost like the Thai Constellation version of the Albo type of thing. Purples on the backs, doing really well. I keep spinning this one so it doesn't go towards the grow lights all the time, but she keeps moving, she keeps angling the way she angles, so I'll just keep spinning. Right next to that, I have two propagations that I guess are technically plants now. This is a little philodendron micans, and then this is a Syngonium chiapens, or chiapens, something like that, but love those. And then I have my Maranta lemon lime. I also over-fertilized this one. It's not doing the best. I had to cut off a bunch of leaves, but it's rebounding and doing okay, and I'm sure in the spring it'll blow up. And then, don't mind the mess or the cat, but back in this window, tucked away so the cats can't get at it, is my little Syngonium ice frost. Let me pull that out so you can see it. Yes, but that's the little ice frost. It actually comes out and it has this little white speckling in the center that almost looks like pests, but I promise it's not. It's actually the type of variegation it has. And I've got this new leaf about to come out. I'm so excited about it. I found this at a local plant shop and I'm like, I have never heard of this, but I'm all for it. I love it. I'm getting really into Syngoniums lately. This is just another cool new one that I happened to find. In the corner of my bedroom over here, I have a couple of plants. This is actually the only window in my entire bedroom. So of course, what do you do when there's a window is put a bunch of plants in front of it. But up here is my first pothos. This is a jade pothos. I'm pretty sure it's pot bound, so I need a bigger pot for it. But she's hanging in there all right, and I propagate from her all the time. Totally love this plant. Down here I have a Hoya Crimson Princess. You can tell it's a princess because the variegation is on the inside of the leaf and then it's green on the outside. You can see in here that there's a couple of just like regular carnosa, or at least it's stopped being variegated. For the most part, I'm fine with that. I'll just let it be. But if I get big tendrils like this one that are all not variegated, I'll totally chop that back and make a straight, normal, Hoya carnosa in the future. But for right now, it's doing all right. I think it needs a water, but aside from that, it's doing pretty well. It's super cute, and it is growing, be it slowly. Over here, I have my Cebu Blue Pothos. This is half of my Cebu Blue Pothos. They actually split up. The other half is in the bathroom. But this one is doing all right. It's actually growing a lot of tendrils, and it's growing fast. And so because my cats kind of have access to this, if it's dangling or if it's trailing too much, every time a vine comes down, I basically plop it on top. So this is all just vines just plopped right on top. It's basically the messy bun of plants for me, and it's still doing all right. Some of the under ones probably aren't getting as much light as they'd like, but overall, it's doing pretty well. It seems happy, but those are those two. I've actually joked that every single room in my apartment has a plant in it, and that is not an exaggeration. Aside from my utility closet, I have plants literally everywhere. Over here in the bathroom, I have some more plants. This is the mother plant for the Cebu Blue, or I guess technically the co-mother plant, because what ended up happening is this plant was in this planter here. It was one of the worst cases of, root-bound plant that I have ever seen. So what I did was I took it out and I literally took a knife and just cut it straight down the middle. And then I supplemented with soil, broke up the roots a little bit, and then put one in here and then one in the other pot. The other one I think seemed to recover better than this one did. This one seems to always want water. I am watering it all the time and it never seems to be enough. The tendrils are doing okay. They're technically growing, but the leaves are spaced weird. So I end up taking a lot of propagations from this and then just selling it to somebody who hopefully can do a better job than I do. And then over here on this shelf is probably my favorite shelf in my entire house. This is my heartleaf philodendron collection up here. Over here I have my lemon lime, which is my newest addition and doing super well. You can see that the tendril is going all the way down on the side over here. She's very happy. In the back over here, I have my regular heartleaf philodendron. This one's starting to curl a little bit, so I definitely need to water that after this video is done. In the front up here, I have a Micans. This one got chomped on by the cats. So this is its new home, so hopefully it can recuperate. I also have another philodendron Micans in the back. This one is doing much better than the other one. Very lush, very full. In the front up here, I actually have a philodendron cream splash. The variegation on it isn't the creamiest I've ever seen, but some of these newer leaves coming in are showing a little bit more of that cream variegation, so that's given me some hope. And then of course over here I have my philodendron Brazil. A lot of people don't like these. I think they are just the perfect plant. I love them and it's doing really well. But yeah, that is my Hartley philodendron shelf. Then right next to the greenhouse over here, I have my Marble Queen Pothos. She's doing all right, putting off new leaves, living her best life, getting some of this light from the greenhouse and a little bit from the window. And then we have the greenhouse. I'll take you through and show you everything. This one is the philodendron pluminii. The yellow edges are because I over-fertilized, but these new leaves coming out are doing much better. They're a little bit smaller, but it is the winter, so hopefully she will explode come springtime. And then over here, I have my two Alocasia Frydek. They're doing a little bit better. I know when I last showed them, they were a little droopy and sad, losing leaves, but they seem to be doing a little bit better. And then down here, I have a bunch of propagations. Once again, I will link the propagation video down below for you so you can see what's in these. Over here, I have my Monstera Peru that has been suffering since the day I brought her home. One thing that is interesting about this Peru is it has shut off this runner that keeps wrapping around things. So I'm definitely going to be chopping and propping that at some point, but this Peru has been just a huge pain in my backside, but hopefully maybe chopping and propping her is the way to go, who knows. Back here is my very sad, very pitiful Anthurium vitarifolium. It is just not doing great. It actually did shoot off this leaf, which isn't impressive as the ones it came with, but I will take it. You know, it's about, I don't know, 6 inches long, something like that. Whereas the ones that it's replacing are like feet long, but it is what it is. It grew a new leaf. I will take that as a good sign. Then underneath that, I have my propagation of Philodendron Audibapauense. Seems to be loving life, keeps putting off new leaves all the time. Then over here, I have my Monstera Siltepecana albo, I believe is what's called. No, Standeliana albo. I always get that wrong. It's a Standeliana albo, and this one I chopped off a huge runner right here, and it grew a new runner, but it actually grew the first leaf it has ever grown for me right there. So it's starting to kind of heal itself. I don't have a lot of hope, but the rest of that runner is in this prop box right here. So hopefully I get actual plant instead of runners from that. This is my white fusion. Let me explain. I found out not too long ago that my bobber was misreading because of all the roots it has. Let me show you the roots on this thing. Because of all of the insane roots it has, it was actually clogging up the port that read how much water it had, which means it wasn't going, the bobber wasn't going up and down like it's supposed to and what it normally does. So it's probably gonna lose all of these leaves, maybe a couple other ones, but I caught it in time. Most of the plant is still fine. But of course, when this happens, especially to this plant, especially to Calatheas, I am going to be spraying the ever-loving crap out of this with my Captain Jacks to make sure it doesn't get spider mites because of my mistake. Then in the center here, I have my very sad Calathea Rosiopicta Dottie. It just needs water. So last time I watered it, I think I didn't water it enough. And so when I came back a few days later, like 3 days later, it was doing this. I watered it. We'll see if it bounces back. I hope so. It's a very robust plant for me so far. This has happened twice to me and it's rebounded okay. So I'm hoping it'll do the same thing a third time. And I need to get this in a self-watering pot stat. So on the right side of the greenhouse over here, this is my Philodendron Bilietiae. It's got 3 very gorgeous leaves on it already, and then another one in the back over here. And this is very, very new to me. I have not had it for very long, so hopefully it does well. Over here, I have my Philodendron Audubonpoense, the Bilietier doppelganger. Looks like this leaf is on the way out, but it's doing pretty well. It's growing up a moss pole. It just put off this leaf, which is a little stunted, but it's right after I took my propagation that you saw before, and it's winter, so I will accept the small leaf as tribute. Hopefully the next one's bigger. And then I have moved the Audubonpoense out of the way to show you my Philodendron verrucosum. This one I cut down to the soil line, and it is growing back wonderfully, better than it ever did when it was a full plant when I first got it. It's got another new leaf on the way. Seems very, very happy and hopefully doing its best. Behind that one, I actually have my Philodendron gloriosum. She's doing pretty well. She's finally given me leaves that are bigger than the ones that came before. These last 2 have been sizably bigger than the ones that I had before. So I finally got the conditions right. I think she's finally happy. Now I just need to get her into a pot that can actually hold her because she is going over the edge. On the second shelf down here, it is just overflowing with begonias. Look at this thing. It is gigantic. It's basically turning into a tree. This is one that I bought as like a tiny, tiny plant a little while ago, and it is just blowing up. It loves this. I definitely need to chop and prop this one. The other begonia I have is a begonia rex that I got as an office plant a long time ago, and it's still blooming, still doing amazing. I get flowers on this one all the time. She's super happy. I need to water her more often. She would love me to water her more often, but she's doing okay despite my neglect. Over here, I have my little Syngonium albo that is putting out leaves finally. And this is the newest leaf. Like, look at that. Absolutely perfect. Love it. The 2 in the back are actually looking like they're about to go. These are the last 2 leaves I have that are original to the plant. So I hope not, but at the same time, they put in some good effort so that I could get these other 2 really beautiful leaves. In the back over here, I have a Syngonium holly. It's starting to get some of that light coloration back. For a while, it was turning more green as opposed to that light green, almost white color, and it's starting to show a little more of the white. So it's liking the grow lights that I have. Over here is my Philodendron 69686. Which is blowing up. I think it had 3 leaves. Yeah, when I bought this, it had 3 leaves on it, maybe 4, and it has, what, 7 now? And it's got that long, piercing next one that's about to spring out, and it is just everything. I love this plant. Fantastic plant, love it, highly recommend. And then over here, I have one of my other probably favorite sections of my plants. And this is my sort of little alocasia floor here, but I do have a stray calathea. The last time you saw this calathea, it was literally just stumps and then 1 dead leaf that was crawling off the top. Look at this monster. She has exploded. Like, these leaves are this bigger than my palm. Look at this. These leaves are the size of my hand. Crazy to me that this was a dead plant. Same, like, I always preach it about calatheas, but it's totally true. Give them a chance, they will rebound, they'll do better. Just give them a shot, give them a fighting chance, and they will do this, which is crazy. Look at this. Crazy bananas. This shouldn't even be possible. This shouldn't be possible. I'm not supposed to be able to grow these. I didn't even mention what this is. This is a Calathea ornata, or a pinstripe calathea because of the types of pinstriping it has. It's kind of a whitish light pink color. And then of course it has the nice maroon backing, classic calatheas. But these are stunners. I'm so glad I got one to grow. Like, amazing. I have my Alocasia Tiny Dancer. It's still recovering a little bit, but it's doing better. All of my alocasia are being treated for spider mites right now, but I think I've eradicated them finally. This little alocasia in the front is my silver dragon. It's growing some new leaves, but it kind of came out wonky, so I'm not sure what's going on there. but it seems to be growing. It's not dying back. I'm not losing a ton of leaves, so I think it's doing okay. It's just taken a little while to get accustomed to the new surroundings. Here I've got my Alocasia mandalay. Just put out this new leaf, which is doing great. It's still hardening off, so it's still got that baby leaf color to it, but it's doing really good. In the back two over here are both of my dragon scales. They are both insanely beautiful plants. Some reason doing fantastic in my care. Absolutely love these big old gigantic leaves. And this one back here also has big old gigantic leaves. This one just came out, like it is like squishy brand new plant. And then of course this one has a new leaf growing as well. Just seems super happy with the conditions I'm giving it. And then of course in the very back I have my Alocasia cuprea, still living its best life, being a big beautiful oil slick. I have, of course, have my little tiny stump in the back that I always hope is bigger every time I come back here. Over on this table next to a north-facing window I have two of my recovering calatheas. They are both Calathea White Star, and I'm just making sure that they get everything they need, and hopefully they bounce back like that Ornata did. And then over here, I actually have two snake plants. I have one, this tall one, I actually don't know what type of Sansevieria it is. It was one of those that I bought on a whim, but I do love how tall and gorgeous she is. And this one over here is one that I actually bought from IKEA, and it has been chewed on by my kitties to within an inch of its life. But this one is one of those. I'm assuming they know what they're talking about. But these are just kind of over here because I don't have a good space for them. And these two are just doing a great job making sure my little vanity area looks super cute. That does it. That's it. That's all of my plants. Hope you like this tour. If you liked it, if you stuck around this long, you have to like, comment, and subscribe. It's the rules. I don't make the rules. You just gotta follow them. But thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you being here. Thank you so much, and I will catch you on the next one. Bye.